Hey, good morning, fuckers, and welcome to another day at the Daily BM. Mikey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
All right. So I want to kind of pick up right. We're going to jump right in today. Let's pick up right where we left off yesterday. We were talking about vegetables, and things like that, and shelf life,
and the chicken eggs.
Yeah, chicken eggs, and things like that.
Farm
fresh and market versus grocery store.
Right.
I noticed, so I'll start with the eggs, because I noticed, when I had one or two eggs left from the grocery store, and I used one of your farm fresh eggs, literally came through, and there was a difference in yolk color, consistency, and things like that. So it pondered the question to me, do stores, is there a reason why the yolks are bigger and brighter, where, for instance, or is it just the chicken that they use? Or, I know you kind of farm, so you probably have the information to this way better than I do. Why is there a difference between the two eggs?
Well, from what I've read, and I'm not an expert on it, obviously this is just from my personal experience and reading stuff, it's the diet that the chickens have and the amount of exercise that they get and the amount of time they have on free pasture.
Mm-hmm.
Also the age of the egg, because when you get your eggs from me, they're within a couple days old.
Right.
So they're extremely fresh. When you get them from the store, I think they could be almost a month old by the time you get them in some cases. Now I don't know if that, I know that probably there's some places and some items that are faster, but I think they could be up to a month old.
Yeah, I do know that, for instance, when you use the farm fresh eggs that you give me, the chicken puts a film around the egg, so it's better to leave them not in the fridge and leave them out of the fridge and only wash them as you need them.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So here, this article I just looked up, it says, by law, eggs can be sold for up to 30 days after the date it was put in the carton, and farmers have up to 30 days to go from when the egg is laid into the carton, which means those supermarket eggs can be up to 2 months old by the time you buy them.
Huh.
So the egg can be up to 2 months old by the time you pick it up at the store.
Now,
instead of 1 month.
I did notice though, as well, that farm eggs, they actually say they taste are better for you than the store bought.
Yeah, they have more nutrients because they're not broken down. They're not breaking down.
Yeah, they said they're higher in omega-3 fatty acids. And they basically, what I'm reading from, I'm looking at Sugar Hill Farmstead for this source, and they're saying, because like you said, the chickens are able to forage for food that is natural, that the chicken eats, that's not found in caged, because most hens are caged on mass production. That I do know, because based on the stuff I used to do back in the day in industrial automation, they basically stay in the same spot, man. They don't really move around.
Yeah.
And what's really weird is these companies get away with being able to say, these are not cage free, but what's the word I'm thinking? Free range, where they can roam. But they only let them outside. I think it has to be a minimum of 5 minutes a day. And then you can say free range on the fucking carton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of misleading when you go to the grocery store and you see, hey, it's free range. You know what I mean? You're going, but is it? But really, is it? Because you're only letting them outside for 5 minutes,
They have to have, so that's not right.
Okay.
For certification, for USDA certification, the animal has to have 51% of their life in an outdoor space with the continuous access to outdoor space for more than 51% of the animal's life.
To be able to say cage free.
To be, free range. To say free range.
Free range.
Yeah.
What's the qualifications for cage free?
Let's see
right off the top of your head?
I'm looking, not off the top of my head, but I can look real quick if you want to keep the masses entertained.
So the reality is it's just like anything you always say, anything you can get farm fresh is probably going to be higher in nutrients, as far as eggs are concerned and things of that nature. And I would assume it's probably the same way with vegetables. No? I mean, I know that we talked about the vegetable thing in the while you're looking that up. I mean, are farm-raised vegetables considered to have more nutrients than,
So Okay, we'll hold that thought, and then I'll come back to it real quick.
Okay,
You asked me a
sure.
question while I was looking this up, so I
Sure,
didn't listen to
no
what you were
problem.
saying.
I'm doing a massive farm dump on you today.
So cage-free basically just refers to the chickens not being in cages. So they can still be indoors, and their whole life can still be indoors. They're just not in cages. So when you see the pictures of the farms with a bunch of chickens just loose inside of the pen area, but not in individual cages,
Right.
that's cage-free. Free range means they have 51% of their life is spent outdoors or with continuous access to outdoors.
Okay.
So you really want free range over
versus
cage-free.
Cage-free, because cage-free is misleading.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like my hens, they live in a coop, and I let them out every day for about 4 or 5 hours a day.
Right.
I would love to be able to just let them loose, but we have too many predators here that just pick them off.
Bobcats.
Eagles. I have bald eagles, hawks. I mean, I've had chickens carried off in front of me by hawks, like literally swooped down, picked up, and taken off.
Yeah, I am really surprised. In my neighborhood, I have a rooster. He's huge. I mean, huge.
Well,
and he walks up and down the road like nothing.
Well, because roosters are aggressive. They'll kill hawks.
Yeah, but I'm saying this hawk just sits there
because the hawk won't mess with him. Hawk won't mess with him.
Wow, they're that damn mean, huh?
Oh yeah, watch some videos on it when you'll see a rooster protecting the hens. The only reason I don't have a rooster is because I don't want to have chicks. And roosters are loud because they crow every morning when you wake up too. So that's annoying. That's
I know. Schmengel Brian's going through that right now. He made a post on his Facebook this morning, and he was like, "Can anybody come over here and kill this damn rooster? He is singing every morning." Like at 5 a.m. And I'm dying laughing because I have the same freaking problem with this fat bastard that walks up and down the road. He just sits there and goes,
yeah. So back to the topic at hand, since you're going all sideways.
Sorry. You know me, people. Yep. Go ahead.
Free range, 51% of their life is spent outdoors with continuous access. Cage free means they're just not in the little bitty cage boxes, the wire boxes that, they only have minimal space to move around in.
Right.
So that's the two differences, and that's why the eggs taste so much better. Plus, I feed my chickens all organic, and I also feed them a lot of leftover vegetables. So they get vegetables pretty much almost every day, some form of vegetable, and they get to go out and run around almost every day for at least 4 or 5 hours. Now, if it's raining real hard or the conditions are not favorable, I leave them in to be protected. But they have a big coop area for the 9 chickens I have. They have a really big coop area, so they have plenty of space to run around in there. It's just there's not a lot of enrichment, so I try to throw things in there that they can keep them entertained.
Right. So they don't have like this little caged in area. What you're thinking? Yeah.
So I read an interesting article, like staying on the food topic. It was the difference between fresh, canned, and frozen foods, because I've always was under the impression, especially with the latest, Instagram, all the Instagram
gurus
doctors out there, gurus, all the self-certified, nutritionists out there, that fresh veggies are the way to go and everything else kind of sucks. I don't know if you've run across those people that have those purist type mentalities.
Correct. I've heard that. Yep.
And so I came across a guy that was talking about it because I've been following a bunch of different people that cook on budgets to show you how you can eat healthy and still cook on budgets. And he said that there's no difference between fresh, canned, and frozen as long as you're buying the right stuff. So like make sure that, you're buying the low sodium version of the canned, or you're buying the sugar-free version, no sugar added versions of canned, to make sure they're not adding anything extra, sweeteners. Like if you buy like peaches, for example, get the peaches in water, not the peaches in syrup, because you're adding a lot of extra sugars with the syrup cans. Peas actually is a very interesting one, because did you know that after 24 hours of being picked, the fresh peas become dull and they start losing their nutrients within 24 hours of being picked? Whereas flash frozen peas are frozen within that first 24 hours, so they maintain more nutrients as a flash frozen pea versus a pea that's been picked fresh and sold fresh.
I was just about to say, because deterioration actually
Yeah.
starts as soon as the crop or any type of
Uh-huh.
vegetable crop that you're harvesting happens right away. So the difference between like homegrown, locally grown, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
if you have a restaurant, they try to get it to the table, or even yourself at home, you try to get it to the table as fast as possible, because there's more nutrients, you know what I mean, that pass over time and
Yep.
travel, like you're just saying. So it's like a lot of the grocery stores, they import their vegetables. They don't buy from local places, so you're going to miss out on the vitamins, you know what I mean? Local crops have higher
Yep.
antioxidant, whatever, nutrients and things like that in them, because you actually turned me on to that, to that market downtown, you know what I mean? And things of that nature.
Yeah.
Now, again, you can always tell that the difference between a locally grown vegetable versus one in the store too, because
Yep.
they're not polished. They don't look pretty, and they're
Yeah.
ugly. Veggies are ugly when they come out of the ground. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They don't look shiny and bright. Like, you can literally look at an apple in a store and it's like waxy and bright, because they want to get your attention to, oh wow, this is really
Yep.
nice. You know what I mean? Where you go buy an apple from a local, apple place, like, that apple farm we went to when we were up in Michigan, wasn't it? When we were in Michigan with that,
Yes.
when we went to that apple
Yep.
place, and
Yes.
all the apples were very like dull. They tasted
Yeah.
freaking great, but they were dull. They didn't have a big bunch of ball of wax
Well,
on
it's
them.
because they don't put the wax coat on the outside of them yet when they
Correct.
come right off the tree, because they need
Yep.
to do that to protect them from, rotting so quickly.
Correct.
Yeah. So this article that I found,
Mhm.
it kind of went through a couple different items, and it was interesting because, like fresh tomatoes versus canned tomatoes,
Mhm.
they say that canned tomatoes win. And the reason they, as long as you're picking like organically canned and stuff that's in BPA free cans,
Mhm.
and also low sodium, make sure they don't add sodium to them.
What is BPA?
It's that plastic stuff that leaches out into the food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that petroleum product that was all the latest rave. Like people are saying that causes cancer and stuff like that, and a bunch of the plastics and things that we used in canning stuff.
Yeah, it's an industrial
So
chemical. What is it? It's
yeah, it has linked. It's been.
bisphenol A or something like that, I think is what it's
I
called.
don't know. It's been
Yeah.
linked to higher levels of infertility, heart disease, and diabetes.
That's why they tell you not to put water bottles in your car or in hot places,
Right.
because it leaks.
Yeah.
It secretes that even more into the water. Side note.
Yeah. Almost all U.S. food grade manufacturers have voluntarily phased out BPA's.
Oh, really?
So yeah, but there's other materials that people are worried about too. I mean, people are worried about stuff all the time. But yeah, they say the can win because the can has it preserved canned tomatoes offer something that fresh can't. Tomatoes are preserved using heat, which releases lycopene, a it's like, what's that? It's a carotenoid. I can't even say this word. Carotenoid that may help prevent prostate and breast cancer. Canned tomatoes are super easy to use since they're already peeled, chopped, and ready to add to your favorite recipes. So canned tomatoes are much better to use when you're seasoning food than trying to use fresh veggies or fresh tomatoes and breaking them down. We already went over the frozen peas. Lemon juice. I like adding lemon juice to stuff, and I always thought that the squeezed little bottles of lemon juice were good, but they're not. Fresh lemons are better. And I saw
Why?
a hack. Um, the reason being is bottled lemon juice has a lot of additives like citric acid, sugar, and water.
Okay.
And even if you've ever tasted it, you'll taste the bottled lemon juice, you'll notice the flavor's off. It's not bright and lemony like the real stuff. Like it just doesn't. It has more stuff added to it, and it doesn't have the benefits as much as regular lemon juice, because you're not getting the same amount from
I
lemon
was
to
gonna
lemon. Does that make
say,
sense?
because yeah, it does, because
Yeah.
when you use, like, I have those bottles,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but I prefer to squeeze it because it's not as tart.
Yep.
Like you said, they add sugars to trim that tartness out. So that makes
Yeah.
sense. 100.
So what they said, because well, here's my problem is like I'll buy a bunch of limes, but by the time I get through them, half of them are rotted. But what they said was, and this is really a great idea, squeeze them into an ice tray and then freeze them. And then you have just take the ice cube out and then put it in whatever you want, and it'll melt and add the add the
flavor
lemon
and then the
or
lemon.
lemon and lime juice back to
Right.
it. And I was like, man, that's a brilliant idea because I'm constantly running into the problem of stuff spoiling, especially fresh stuff, before I get a chance to fully eat it.
Well, you know what I do anyway. I mean, you know what I do.
You freeze everything.
I freeze everything. So whenever I don't use, it automatically goes in a freezer bag, zipped up, put in the freezer, and then I thaw it out as I need it. That's it.
See, my problem I run into with that is like especially on the fruits, like once you freeze them and then you try to thaw them, they turn straight to mush. So they're only good in like
Shakes, additives.
smoothies.
Yep.
Yeah, like adding into recipes, not eating like fresh. Now, blueberries, I've had success with some blueberries and raspberries freezing those. They don't seem to fall apart as fast as strawberries and some of the other fruits. Now, when I buy the frozen fruit bags, I don't have that same problem. So I don't know why I have the problem when I take fresh. And I've even tried vacuum sealing them because I thought maybe it was the water particles in the air, getting on it. And it still didn't have the same results as the stuff you buy that's been pre-frozen. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a technique behind it and we're just not doing it.
Maybe I can do a little research on that.
I don't, like, for instance, I don't eat beets. I feel beets are disgusting.
Oh, see, I love beets.
But see, I can't stand them. Like, I know that's weird. I am so weird.
Pickled beets? Love pickled beets.
I'm a fucking weird dude. So I literally can't stand them. Like, I have to freeze them, and then I drop them into a smoothie, and then I make sure I put a bunch of blueberries, a few strawberry slices to kind of kill that beet taste. Because if I taste that beet 100%, it's going to make me go, oh, bleh,
Yeah. So I eat pickled I eat pickled beets whenever I can. I love them.
I like pickled red onions. Beets. Pickled red onions are the shit.
I like those too.
Yeah, you put those on a burger, man, or something. Oh, freaking money.
So spinach, what do you think? Fresh or frozen? Which one's better?
I'm gonna go with frozen.
You are correct.
I'm gonna go with frozen on this one. I feel like once they probably freeze it right away, so it locks everything and it doesn't have time to deteriorate.
Yeah, 1 cup of frozen spinach has more than 4 times the amount of nutrients, including fiber, folates, iron, and calcium, compared to a cup of fresh spinach. So if you want to power up, use frozen spinach. And then frozen's better than canned because canned they often add sodium to it to produce just to improve the flavor and enhance it. They add additives to it. So frozen is the best bet on that.
I'm thinking like you said, when you buy canned stuff, you just got to really pay attention to whether it's no sodium. Yeah, sodium in some of the vegetables. Like they do have options on there where it's sodium free. They have the ones
no sugar, stuff like that.
No sugar. Like you said with peaches earlier. Make sure they're just canned peaches, and it's just the funny thing is like they add all that sugar, and it's really not necessary because a peach tastes good without it.
Yeah, the thing
in my opinion, they just taste better.
So what I think happened is I think that was a marketing strategy because what they wanted to do is make their peaches taste better than the competition's.
Right.
So people just started adding a little bit of sugar. So that way it was like, oh shit, this is better. And then the other people added sugar more. And it's like, oh, this is even better. And it just kept escalating, and now we're addicted. We have this sugar pandemic where we're addicted to sugar. Everything has to have sugar in it in order for us to
salt, high sodium.
Eat. Yeah.
I mean, there's some of these things that claim to be, and I can tell you firsthand, because my wife eats the shit out of some of those things, those frozen dinners, that supposedly are lean cuisine. And I tell her all the time, flip that box over and look at that sodium count, because they're substituting one thing for another, and they're bringing that sodium up.
I think the problem is when you do that is if you're not intaking enough water to flush your system. That's what creates the problem, because what you do is you have high sodium intake and then you have low water intake. You're just creating a massive imbalance in your system. But I personally believe that your body is very efficient at utilizing salts and pushing salts out of your body, using them for electrolytes and things of that nature and processing them as long as you're drinking enough water. So I think you're much better off having higher sodium than you are having higher sugar.
Oh,
like
without
you have
a doubt.
to choose the two.
Yeah,
I think sodium's much better for you than like a high fructose corn syrup or anything else. Like I know you have high blood pressure.
Correct. I was just about to make that statement. If you have an underlying medical condition, then yeah, you got to really pay. I have to pay attention to my sodium count, like anywhere I eat or anything I eat. So I don't add salt.
Do you ever wonder if the doctors are wrong?
No, because I know they're right. My blood pressure's high, and a lot of it has to do with the
No,
way
I mean, do
my
you ever
habits.
wonder if they're wrong with their food recommendations?
Well, they're not nutritionists. They're general practice doctors. I mean, I'm not slamming them. They went to school for 8, 12 years, whatever. You know what I mean? But I have come to find when I go and I ask fitness questions, I get from, it doesn't matter what doctor I've been to, I get a deer headlights look. Like, it's kind of like when they prescribe medicine. It's almost like, that's why they call it practicing medicine, in my opinion, because they are, in a way, practicing, and they can only make judgment calls based on what they believe the diagnosis is. And sometimes they get it wrong. You know what I mean? They just do. I mean, they're human beings just like the rest of us. But, you know, and again, I'm probably going to get slammed for that statement. But the reality is that they practice medicine. They're not nutritionists. People go many years to become nutritionist specialists. You know what I mean? So I think that when you are like looking to do something specific, that you need to find that person that is certified in those areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I need to go to the doctor for my, you know, they still send off lab work to the lab to get looked at. You know what I mean? To get an overall analysis, but they can't write me a meal plan.
No.
They'll look at you and go, you just need to, you know, follow the pyramid, you know, and this many carbohydrates
which they
per
proved
day.
is wrong, which the pyramid is wrong.
Exactly.
It was, you know, funded by General Mills and all the cereal companies, and it was done exactly what it helped their bottom lines. It wasn't what was designed. I mean, when the pyramid came out in the 1950s, if you look prior to the 1950s, when the pyramid was upside down, there was no pyramid, it didn't exist, but people ate more, you know, meats, veggie, leafy greens, and very few processed foods, breads, you know, things of that nature, grains. People were much, much healthier. If you look at pictures from the 1950s and before, almost everybody was skinny.
Right.
And then the food pyramid came out, and now you have an obesity epidemic because we are eating so much grain and so much carbs. And we're not eating the good carbs. We're eating, you know, and what I mean by that is we're eating the shit carbs, the ones that are processed, stripped, you know, everything's removed, all the nutrients. So your body's still craving nutrients, and you're stuffing more carbs in your face, more bad carbs, you know?
Yeah. Before we exit out of here today, I was going to say, I went to the grocery store last night late because I forgot a few items, and I just really started to pay attention more to my surroundings.
Yes.
You know, when I'm in there, and listen, man, I mean, I'm still heavy, you know what I mean? But I'm actually getting off my ass and doing something about it. I have been, just like you. And I noticed, man, there is a huge obesity problem in the United States, and then maybe it's the world. Everybody in that store was big. Like, you know, like you said in the 50s, you know, you saw some big people back then, you know what I mean? But a lot of people were thin and in pretty decent shape, like, you know what I mean? Like we were just discussing. But I was just looking through the store and going down the aisles, and some of these people could barely walk. There was people in freaking carts. You know, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not like fat shaming or anything like that. I'm just simply just paying attention to my surroundings. You know, some people have medical conditions. You can't help it. Hey, man, you got thyroid issues, whatever it is. I totally get it. But let's just be completely honest with ourselves here. A lot of it is because we're eating and we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything. We're not, you know, working out. We're not going to the gym. We're not doing these things that we should be doing on the daily. You know, they should be incorporated into your lifestyle. So I implore everyone that's listening, if you don't have a medical condition and you're struggling, man, just get out there and do something. Take some action. You want to add to that, Mike, at all?
No, I think you said it all.
All right, man. Well, listen, guys, we're going to get out of here for the day. I hope we gave you some good knowledge today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation that Mike and I had, you know, about veggies and, you know, free-range chickens and caged chickens and whatever. But don't forget to head over to the website at thedailybm.com where you can follow us on all our socials. You can also go ahead and like and subscribe, too, if you like the show. Mikey, got anything before we get out of here?
No, everybody have a great day, and just, you know, try to eat healthy and live right. Live the best you can. Live happy.
Yeah, nothing else to say. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Deuces.